Have you ever wondered what it's like to be able to set and achieve a goal? Maybe you have, maybe you haven't. After 16 years of business, I often get this question, Alfonso, how did you go from being a 16-year-old war-torn high school dropout to running your own successful corporation by 20 years old? And one of the things that I could say I attribute that to is my ability to effectively set and achieve goals. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today, is how to set and achieve goals. Well, for me, there's 3 basic steps. The first one is you need to be very specific. The second one we're going to learn about today is make a plan. And the third thing you need to remember is you need to be proactive. But before we get into these 3 steps, let's talk a little bit about what is a good goal. What makes a good goal? Well, for me, a good goal needs to scare you and excite you at the same time. It needs to excite you to the point that it's a little bit scary. If your goal excites you and it scares you at the same time, then you have a good goal. So let's get started. So you want to get your pens out and you want to write these things down. The very first thing you want to write down is you need to be very specific about your goal. Not only do you need to be very specific, but you need to use positive words. And a goal, if you can imagine sitting in front of your Google search and you're typing in the wrong words, you will get the wrong search. In order to achieve the exact search you're looking for, you need to use the correct words. And in this case, you need to use positive words. The second thing you want to remember about being specific is it needs to be in detail. The more details, the better. What color is it? How does it smell? For example, if I said, I want to, by the end of the year, I would like to own a home, that's very general. But if I make it a goal to have a single home with a single car garage, with a red door, 4-bedroom, finished basement, interlock driveway, now I've gotten very specific and now I can start to draw the picture. So you need to be very detailed about the goals that you're trying to achieve. And the third thing is you need to write them down. You need to write down your goals. You see, I learned this lesson at 17 years old when I was a dishwasher. And I don't know if anybody out there has ever been a dishwasher. But when I was a dishwasher, you're pretty much at the very bottom of the restaurant food chain. And every day at break, I would go to the back and I would write down my goals and dreams on a piece of paper. One day a line cook came back and he tore that paper out of my hand. And he started to recite my goals and dreams in front of everybody there, almost like making fun of me. But the funny thing was that I achieved everything on that piece of paper by age 20. That's the power of writing things down. Until you write it down, it's not real. The second step, after you identified what your goals are, you've gone into positive words about your goal, you've gone into details about your goals, and you've written them down. The second thing is you need to make a plan. I think it's in the Army that they talk about fail to plan, plan to fail. See, a plan, it's basically just a strategy. And a plan without a strategy is just hope. You're hoping things will happen. You hope you might achieve your goal. But if you have a strategy, then you have a definite plan of how you will do so. The second thing is you need to have a timeline. And usually reasonable and realistic timelines. But if you don't have a timeline, when will you achieve this goal? When will you own this home? When will you own that condo in Florida? So it needs to be, there needs to be a timeline attached to your strategy. And the third thing about making a plan, I would have to say, is break it down. break it down into smaller, manageable pieces. For example, if I want to make $120,000 by the end of the year, if that's a real goal for me, I would have to break it down, because my mind might not be able to process how I will be able to make $120,000 by the end of the year. So if we break it down, it's actually $10,000 a month that I need to achieve. But if we go even further, it's about $2,500 a week. So now this becomes a very manageable situation. And now we can even go divide it by 7. How much do I need to make per day in order to achieve the $2,500 a week, the $5,000 every 2 weeks, the $10,000 a month, and ultimately the $120,000 a year? It needs to be broken down into manageable pieces. And of course, be proactive, aka action. You need to act on these goals. Now, the one thing I'm going to tell you is, you might have to change, well, not might, you will need to change your habits. You see, most people will never achieve the goals because they'll never change their habits. The biggest habit you'll have to change is the habit of being yourself. You see, we're habitual beings. And the current results that you have in your life, it comes from your current habits. Because if you had better habits, you would have better results. So you need to really identify what are the habits that you're going to need in order to achieve your plan and ultimately achieve your goals. The second thing is your daily actions. Well, in order for me to make $120,000 a year, I have to make 10 more calls a day. So my daily actions would be, I need to wake up at 6 o'clock instead of 7 o'clock. There needs to be a daily ritual, a daily action that I'm going to change. And the last thing is, for things to change, you have to change. You see, when I was 17 years old, I had a surprise in my life. My daughter was born. The second my daughter was born, I decided to look myself directly into the mirror and say, you have to change. I stopped blaming the outside world for my problems, and I took responsibility over my own life. You see, the current results that you currently have, and the results that you're looking for, the goals that you want, you have to determine that that is two different people. You see, Jim Rohn said, success is what you attract by the person you become. Basically, the second you decide to change, that's when the world will change. That's when the people will change. That's when you start to attract the right things, the right circumstances, the right ideas to match your goals. So, I really hope this has helped you, and I hope you wrote each and every one of these. But in order to set and achieve and be successful in your goals, you need to be very specific about what your goals are. You need to make a plan, and you need to be proactive, aka action. And I think if you follow these things, you will be successful in achieving any goal in your life. And the last thing I'm going to leave you with is, a goal without a plan is just a wish.